Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another video. My name is Tom from 6 Foot Networks. Thank you for joining me. First things first, I wanted to apologize for the delay in the uploads. I know it's been a few weeks since the last Bolt EV video that I've uploaded, and things have just been a little bit hectic, so forgive me on that account. But as you can see, I am standing here with my 2020 Premier. And you might also notice that there's a notepad sitting there. I would like to talk about what's on said notepad. So, first things first, the car is still flawless. I'm gonna get out from under this tree because I keep slapping my head into it. The car is flawless. It does its job, and it is 15 months of ownership have been really positive overall. But there is one thing, the elephant in the room, if you will, that is now kind of becoming a larger issue, not just for myself, but also my company as well as my family. As you guys know, I use this vehicle for business and personal, so I have to be able to rely on it on all fronts. I can't just park it in the garage when I need to do business, or not use it to go service my clients and then use an ICE vehicle or something else to get the task done, get the job done. So it is with a heavy heart that I record this video, because my family and I specifically have decided together in unison that we would proceed with the buyback of this vehicle through GM. And it's sad because, as a whole, this thing is fantastic. I have no complaints. I still drive it daily, and I put hundreds, if not thousands of miles on it per week. But the decision was reached, and in some ways I was overruled just because the logic didn't quite fit. And my wife, who's pretty analytical, she was able to help me understand that what I was doing was probably a mistake, and she was right. It took me a while to realize it, but about 3 or 4 days I pursued to open a case with GM and get the buyback started. So there are 3 options, and I think this is per state, so you may have to check your local lemon laws. And of course, there's a bird up there that's complaining. But you have to check your local lemon laws, because I think the options that I'm about to share are for California, and I'm not sure if other states fall in line with this, but here's what happened. So in an effort to even reach GM, you have to open up a Better Business Bureau case. You have to explain that you're having difficulties, getting through to the dealership, getting an appointment to get the service taken care of with regards to the recall. And the delays are only diminishing the value of the vehicle, as well as increasing the risk in the long run of potentially there being a problem. Now, you guys know personally, me, I drive this car as hard as I can, as long as I can, and there it is, in one piece, no issues. But again, this isn't just me. This is a family decision and also a sound business decision. So hear me out. So I opened up a case with the Better Business Bureau exactly 4 weeks ago today. So today, like I said, is Wednesday the 23rd, and the 23rd of March, that is. So at the end of February, I submitted a claim through the Better Business Bureau, and they were able to forward my claim to GM's proper department or authority that can help me out. So it took a few weeks, because the process is quite lengthy to go through, and I was given 3 options. The first option was to keep the vehicle and follow the recall out, which could potentially take 7 years, from what I was told. And in that time, I would have to oblige by the recall down to the letter. Otherwise, I would be liable for violating a recall, etc., etc. And that was option one. Option two was to do a cash out. In other words, GM would give me a fair price for the car and they would buy it outright. They would give me a check for it, and then I could say goodbye to GM and move on to another brand, or stay with the family and get another vehicle and, you know, go down that road. The third option, which is ultimately the one that I took, was a swap. Essentially, the idea would be that I give them this one, they give me a new one. And I don't know what the exact details of the transaction will be, because this just sort of percolated today. I was able to get in touch with the caseworker that from GM that has started the initial process. You know, I have to provide them with documentation, lien holder information, a picture of the odometer, that kind of stuff. So I'll try to document this process moving forward a little bit better than I have been. In fact, there hasn't really been much traction since that day that I sent the email to the Better Business Bureau. So it's starting today. So yeah, again, the decision was reached, and this car will at some point be going back to GM. You know, obviously they're going to service it. They're going to put it on a lot somewhere, and it's going to have all the repairs done, and then it's going to be resold as a used vehicle. Here's the part that I really hate about this. I really wanted a brand new car that would be a one-owner car for the pretty much its whole life. This car met that to the T. I was willing. I thought I'd keep this thing for 10 years or whatever, and run it into the ground, and when I was done with it, it would be literally ready for the crusher. But that's not the case, and that's the part that kind of hurts, because even as I'm standing here looking at this car, I really love it. You know, I have decent memories with it. You know, I have memories with my kiddo in there. I have memories with my wife and son and us driving up to Mammoth Lakes, California, you know, for a little vacation that we took at the end of last year's snowfall, which was kind of nice because my kid got to see snow for the first time in his life. Even though it was all melting and it was 85 degrees outside or whatever, it was still great because it was high elevation. Those kind of memories, you know, it's sentimental to me, and it's really tough. And I have the nasty trait inside me that I like to personify inanimate objects, you know, like a car. I give it feelings, I give it emotions, I give it a name, that sort of thing. But, you know, just to go back to the buyback, not much is yet to be said because the whole process just started. An interesting side note is the vehicle that I mentioned in, I think, my last or second to last video, where I mentioned that he was having a hard time getting parts. Guess what? A month later, still no parts, and still driving an ICE vehicle that's on GM's dime, which is also weird, but it is what it is. He also opted to go through the buyback, and he's ironically doing the same process as I am. So, except he's a few weeks ahead of me because he decided that while he was driving an ICE vehicle, he would go through the buyback. And I just kind of let my priorities shift a little bit with regards to my training and everything else that I was doing during the last 6 weeks. I had to kind of just put the Bull TV on the side and, you know, just do what I had to do. So as far as the notes go, I had found out today that I will be assigned another caseworker that will ultimately handle my case once it's in process. So I have received an email today with the requests for the documentation. When I submit that, my case will be essentially put into some kind of a package, and it'll be sent off to another worker that's going to see it through. And that person is going to work with me to essentially work with my local dealership where I bought the vehicle. That's the other ticket that you have to remember. When you're doing this buyback, you can only do it through the dealership that you purchased the vehicle from. At least that's what GM told me today. Typically, dealerships won't work with you on a buyback if you didn't purchase the vehicle from them. I can see why, but I don't know if that's exactly true. So feel free to go down in the comments and leave me your opinion. I did write that down because that was one of the things that kind of, piqued my eyebrows, is that if you purchase your car from dealership A and then dealership B is closer and you go there to try to do your buyback, they'll probably look at you like, we don't know you and that car didn't come from us. So, and I actually made the point to ask, if there are problems with this dealership, like I've had problems getting them to service the battery and the software update and whatnot, is there an option to go to a different dealership? Because there's a ton of Chevy dealerships in Los Angeles, all over Los Angeles. And it made sense to at least ask that and try to get, their official opinion. And the woman was pretty clear. It said, no, we have to work pretty much with the dealership you bought the car from. Otherwise, you can have extensive delays and potentially just a denial where the dealership will just not work with you. And then GM would have to escalate it. And I don't know how they would do it, but there would be just significant delays, which you don't want to do really when you're dealing with a process like this. So I guess that's pretty much it. I don't want to, drag out a semi-dead horse, but suffice it to say, the process was straightforward. The BBB was really quick. Within, I think, 36 hours, they had my case over to GM. And about 2 or 3 days after that, I got a phone call from GM that said, we got your claim and we'll work with you. Please give us 6 to 8 weeks. And today was actually the start. Today or yesterday, I think yesterday was the start of the 6th week. So I decided to give them a call back and just say, hey, you guys said I was supposed to get an email. I never got an email. So they sent me the email. I have the email now, and now I know what to provide them in terms of documentation. So this is the start of this process. I'm going to document as best as I can. This is my first ever buyback, so I don't know what to expect. And it's a buyback of a relatively brand new vehicle with 17,000 miles on it. So this is hard. This is tough. And I'm not sure which way this is going to go, but I'm pretty sure I already told them that I had no issue sticking with the family in terms of sticking with GM. So if they were to put me into a car that's comparable with regards to MSRP, I could get into a Bolt EUV 2022, or if it takes long enough, maybe the Equinox, which is actually cheaper than this car, which means that I may be able to fare out a little bit better. I don't know. Have you guys looked at the Equinox? That dash is crispy. I looked at it yesterday, and it was mighty nice. So that's certainly a consideration. I may look at the Equinox for my wife when it's time to drive her Toyota RAV4 into the ocean, because if you're driving a nice vehicle in Los Angeles, I have a special place for you in my heart. I've already posted on social media several images of gas station prices that I've found across Los Angeles. And the one that sticks out is the one that was $10.01 per gallon of gasoline. And no, I'm not talking about diesel. I'm not talking about hydrogen craziness. No, I'm talking about regular unleaded gas at or just below $10 a gallon. So I don't envy those who are forced to drive an ICE vehicle, including my wife, who, mind you, I think just put $60 of fuel in, and it netted her just over half of her tank. Blows my mind every time I think about it, but you know, can't beat an EV. And I'm gonna say this here right now. I think in the last 30 days, I have spent $16 on energy to charge this car. Now, a lot of it's free from the sun. You guys know I have a solar farm on the roof of my house, but I'm talking about level 2 or level 3 charging. I went out of my way to plug in at the Walmart that's 150 yards down this road. There's a Walmart Supercenter just down from this business park that I'm standing in. And they have an Electrify America plant with, I think, 6 pretty high. I think one of them is actually 350 kilowatt chargers, and then they have, obviously, I think a Chatamo box. But suffice it to say, going out of my way to do a level 2 or level 3 charge just to kind of prove a concept is impressive, because even then, in 30 days, I managed to blow 16 bucks. Otherwise, it's pretty much free from the sun. Now, obviously, there's the argument to be made that, hey, but you pay on your solar panels. Yeah, but you know what? That's a different budget altogether, because yeah, I pay for that, but that also powers my house, that powers my livelihood, that powers everything from my refrigerator to my pool pump, and my car just happens to tap into it. Not to mention the air conditioning, which today is a requirement, because I feel like shorts and t-shirt is too much today. And this hot breeze, I feel like I'm standing in a convection oven, so forgive the sunlight poking through the trees, but I'm trying to stay in the shade. So anyway, take it for what it is. I can only tell you what my experience is. I don't, try to belittle people who drive ICE vehicles, because everybody has a choice to make. It's funny, you see all these posts and memes on Instagram and TikTok about folks that are standing at the gas pump, saying, oh, some poor dude only put $2 of gasoline in their car, or 2 gallons of gasoline in their car, and it just happens to be the guy that's standing there saying it. That's true. I mean, and I think about how many cars are on the freeways. Like when I sit in traffic, I went to the Pacific Palisades, which is just north of Santa Monica, California. On Saturday, I decided to start riding my bike, and I parked this Bolt EV beachfront right next to the sand, and I got on the bike path, and I literally rolled 22 miles south to Redondo Beach, California, and then, well, just north of Redondo Beach, so I think it was like 18 miles down, and then 18 miles back, and then rode around in the middle just to get upwards of, I think, 45 miles on my bike. And I sat in the longest traffic, and this was early morning. I think I left my house at 9 a.m. on a Saturday, thinking no rush hour, no nothing. Yeah, that wasn't true. I sat in traffic for a while, and it wasn't until I got to Sunset Boulevard to where it started breaking up a little bit, and it went semi-fast. Anyway, suffice it to say, all those cars, I did see quite a few Teslas. I did see a handful of Chevy Bolt EVs. I did see a whole ton of hybrids, obviously. Those are commonplace. But I saw the most amount of ICE vehicles I have ever seen at once. And you got to figure, some of those trucks, some of those cars, they're probably burning a gallon of fuel just standing on the road, just idling. So to me that's a kick in the neck. But everybody has a choice to make. I know financially things are hard. COVID's still a thing, believe it or not. 2 years later, we're still in it. But I hope that, you know, government rebates, incentives, and all the dealership specials that you can get, and now with more and more of these cars being fixed as time goes on, maybe the prices will come back down to sea level and hopefully allow this world to go into the future as it is, you know. But anyway, there's one more shot of my vehicle. She's a beauty. She's the best car I've ever owned. And yes, my giant bike fits in there. I have a bike that was made custom to my frame, you know, to my body. And essentially, I take the front wheel off and I fold the seats down, and it fits in there perfectly, like a glove, like it was made for it. So I'm really thrilled. And the only thing I'm really missing about this car is a sunroof, which, from what I understand, the EUV has plenty of. So I'll leave it there. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, you know where to find me. Go down below, leave me your thoughts. In the meantime, I'll keep you guys updated with my buyback and the general state of things. But it looks like production lines for GM are opening on April 4th, so in about 2 weeks. And that is also the day that the stop sale gets lifted for the entire Bolt EV line. And that's it, folks. Thank you for joining me. If you're still sticking around, I appreciate you as always. Go down in the comments, leave me your thoughts. Until next time, thank you guys very much for being loyal viewers, and thank you for watching. Take care.